Grab a sketchbook and let's paint a winter scene with a Christmas tree and snowman. I don't know about you, but I am settling into the fact that it's getting colder out, sadly. I don't really like the cold, but that's okay. It makes me a little bit happier to paint something that's glowing and warm. So I use my 3/4 inch flat brush, and whatever paints you have are totally fine. So here I just get a little bit of water on my sketchbook page, just dab it all around. I even grab a little spray bottle and spritz it, just a few little mists. You can pick one of these little spray bottles up at Michael's craft store, or I don't know, maybe even Walmart has them. I'm not sure. But now I'm grabbing my number 6 round brush. These brushes I use are from Princeton. That's the brand name, but you can grab whatever brush you have. It really doesn't matter. Mix up a green. Right here I'm using some sap green mixed with a little bit of ultramarine blue. And just laying in a Christmas tree. Just paint the shape of a Christmas tree however you would like. Now, wet onto wet technique, where you wet the paper first and then paint your tree that's wet, that's a technique that takes a lot of practice, so you just have to give yourself grace, and you just have to give yourself time to learn this and work in your sketchbook every day. I always say you're going to get better, but you just have to work at it, and you have to be willing to make mistakes and just explore with the paint. So now I'm dropping a little bit of lemon yellow, little dots that will look like lights in the tree. When you work wet into wet, it's a very, very soft background technique where you can, the paint just mushes together right now. And I grab a little bit of alizarin crimson. That is a pinkish reddish color, and dropping that in. A little bit cadmium red to give it a little orange, glowing balls of light. Now take your 3/4 inch flat brush, and I'm using ultramarine blue to make a sky. I am a very loose painter, so for me this is very freeing to just create whatever's on my mind. And I will just make these different random brush strokes, and that will be the background. So just play around with the paint. I think that's the best lesson I could ever teach, is just have fun with it, because painting is fun. I just do this every day because it's so fun. Paint a little ground where the tree is resting. So I do go back and just kind of add some more green to the tree, because when you're working wet into wet, you lose the detail when it's really wet. So you have to go back in and just shape it up some more while it's still wet. A little ultramarine blue to make a snowman. I paint 3 circles for my snowman. I do like to leave white of the paper. That's the neat thing about watercolor, is to add a little highlights to your painting, just leave some white, the very, very white of the paper, the bare naked paper. Okay. Now I'm just filling in some more sky. Going back in with cadmium red as some little glowing balls. As you notice, the other ones we painted, the first layer that we painted is, it just kind of dissolves a little bit. So you have to go back in and add some more. grab some purple lake, whatever purple that you have, and paint it around the snowman. I add the purple to the ground because why not? Give it a splash of color there. Going back into my tree again with a little ultramarine blue, some sap green. Salt. This is where I add a little bit of salt. I find that mineral salt works best with watercolor for this technique that I'm looking for. I'm just looking to make it look like there's a little bit of snow and texture to the sky and the tree. And I use Redmond's Real Salt, but you don't have to use that brand. Probably any mineral salt will do. Now I take my heat gun and dry this layer. So this is the first time that I'm drying this. We've just worked wet into wet this whole time. I picked this heat gun up off of Amazon, I think for about $10. Works great, except the cord is really short, so yeah. I think they should make the cord a little bit longer. Okay, so just give it, just dry it really good. Now brush off the salt. Since this layer is dry, we can add some detail. We are going to go back in and add those little bristly branches. Not really branches, but just more green to your tree. I guess they are branches, yeah. Ultramarine blue, sap green again, just darkening up that. I like to make my Christmas trees the little, are they called branches? I don't even know. This is silly. The little green part of the stem. So I'm making those little bristles stick upwards to heaven. So I like to make them kind of angle upwards so that it looks like a happy tree. Oh no, now I'm sounding like Bob Ross. Happy little tree. Happy little Christmas tree. Yes, that's what we're making. And it's so fun adding this little detail because you can really get in there and then it does look like those lights are inside the tree and in between the little branches and greenery, right? And so now I'm going to add some detail to my snowman. Payne's gray or black. I used a little bit watered down. And then I'm using cadmium yellow to add a carrot nose. I'm using the very point of my brush next to grab some Payne's gray and, actually I do the buttons first. Okay, never mind. So I did grab some Prussian blue for the buttons. So just make a darker shade blue, and I use the very point of my brush to draw little circles, and those are the buttons. Now I'm grabbing Payne's gray for little circle eyes, and I'm going to draw a little smiley face. So cute. There's just something about a happy smiling snowman. All right, so cadmium yellow, cadmium red for the scarf. I do just make it very flowing and loose. Darken it up a bit so it does have some form. Add a little bit of that same scarf color down on the ground. Just sharpening up some edges here. You can notice that I don't really use a lot of paint, and look at how pretty that is. I am adding a little rosy cheek with that same little mixture I had on my palette, and I think that's done, right? Oh, I did, yep, there we go, a little shadow under the tree. It does help if you, when you're setting things that are on the ground, add a little shadow right underneath. It gives it some depth. Makes it look like it's actually sitting on the snow. And yes, go back in and add some cadmium red, brighten up some of those bulbs. I think he looks cute. What do you think? Are you going to try it out? I'd love to know. Just subscribe and follow me. This is so fun. I love painting, and yeah, I'm talking to myself right now, but join me.